I'd like to call the Monday, June 10th meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. At this time, I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded and ask if there is anyone in the audience who is also recording this meeting. Seeing none, if we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It appears that we have a fairly quick agenda tonight. We have no public comment. No one signed up for public comment. We have no public hearings or presentations. No communications. Under Board of Selectmen items, we have interviews for the Zoning Board of Appeals and Finance Committee. Seeing no one in the audience right now, we'll move on and see if anyone arrives for the interview. The next item we have is a drain layers license for Mark Santora PE Inc. out of North Grafton. And per the Board of Selectmen's policy, there's no requirement for them to be here. The work is done by the DPW Assistant Director Jeff Mitchell, and in your packet you have proof of insurance, the application, and a statement by Mr. Mitchell saying that Mr. Santora has done previous work in the town before and has been previous licensed, and his work meets the sewer division's rules and regulations. So, are there any comments on this? Is there any public comment on this? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the license provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town, any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And I would like to go back to appointment interviews for the Finance Committee. We have Ms. Kavanaugh with us. And you do have her application in your packet. Good evening. Just so you know our policy, we'll be holding interviews this evening and our meeting in 2 weeks, and then after holding all interviews, we'll be making the appointments.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I did want to say that I've enjoyed serving on the Finance Committee. I hope to continue to do so. I was trying to figure it out in the car. I think I've been on 11 years now. And then in the town I used to live in, I was on for 4 years. So I hope to offer some experience as I continue. And I want to say we're lucky right now in our town. Our finances are in pretty good shape compared to what we read about in the newspaper, knock wood. So I think I'd like to be part of continuing to make sure that happens too. So, and I want to say thank you to our town manager and our assistant town manager and the department heads. Every time we've asked for information, everyone's been very forthcoming and cooperative with everything. So that certainly helped things.
Okay. Do any members have any questions for Mrs. Kavanaugh? Mr. Grossman?
You come with plenty of experience, and I watch your meetings and have attended a few, and you conduct yourself very well.
Thank you. Well, I like to keep track of things, so, and look at all the numbers. So I enjoy it. I like to keep on top of the things. Thank you.
So, Mrs. Kevin, I know that, that the Finance Committee, as well as the Board of Selectmen, voted to adopt the new financial policies. So, what benefit have you seen in moving forward with those, working on the Finance Committee?
I think it's always important to have an overall plan, not just think from year to year, well, what should we do when we make our decisions. It's better to have a guiding force so that we have a goal in mind. And it's better to have it written down so we can all see it. Everyone's been part of making that policy, so everyone's on board and making sure that happens. I think it takes care of a lot of details, too, so that it addresses several different issues, or many different issues, I should say, in terms of any questionable areas that come up when we're dealing with the finances. For instance, how we should try to move our town from borrowing money for capital items, and how to maintain contributions to our OPED fund and to the stabilization fund. So I think that's been a very good thing. It's proactive rather than reactive, so it's good to have in place.
Great, thank you. And now, do you represent precinct, or are you at large?
I believe I'm precinct 5.
Precinct 5, thank you. Mr. Holstrom, did you have something?
Yeah. I seen that you have been working with the Finance Committee quite a while. Does the process that is in place now seem to be working, or is there anything you can see that might be able to revise it to help it along, a little smoother transition?
I mean, I think it's working fine. I'm sure there's always areas for improvement, but nothing really comes to mind in that regard. Again, everyone's been very cooperative in terms of department heads and anyone else when we've wanted some information, so that's been very positive too. And I know that our department heads have all worked hard to make sure that our town comes up with a balanced budget. So I wanted to make a note of that. But so far, I think the process is pretty good.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Simonian?
Yeah, given that you've been on the Finance Committee for a considerable amount of time, what would you consider your biggest accomplishment in your time on that board committee?
Well, I like to think that because of the experience, I can put each year's budget in a context so that I can understand, you know, what we need to do, and what kind of questions to ask, and how we need to make sure that's maintained. So I'm not coming in fresh every year. I have that background that I can come in and know what to expect on it. And I think also, as far as accomplishments, I think maybe I can say the Finance Committee, in a small way, was part of what our town has done so far, although it's probably more towards our assistant town manager and town manager in terms of our good financial situation compared to other towns I read about.
Well, is there something that you've done to drive that change or that way of thinking on the Finance Committee to kind of, you know, work with the town?
I don't think anything specific, no.
Okay, and one last question.
Sure.
When you answered Mr. Holstrom's question, you said that you believe that there's always room for improvement, and I tend to agree with that in any part of life. But nothing came to mind right now. So, since off the top of your head you can't think of anything, what kind of process do you have to try to identify areas where where improvements can be made?
Well, certainly the idea that we should stop borrowing for our capital needs and gradually look to funding that through our budget every year versus borrowing. And that, I think, would be very important. I think maybe just to streamline budgets and pay attention, see if certain areas don't need a line item for that amount. You know, maybe look for areas that are perhaps overfunded or underfunded.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? No? So you're welcome to come back. You're not required to, but you're welcome to come back at our meeting, and we'll let you know if we'll be making those, but we'll let you know if we're making appointments that evening.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is there anyone else here for interviews for either Zoning Board of Appeals or Finance? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no gift acceptance. In our packets, we have 2 requests for proclamations for Eagle Scouts. We have a request for Eagle Scout Stephen Joseph Sisko, who has earned the rank of Eagle Scout, and his Eagle Code of Honor will be held on August 24th. And is there a motion regarding that?
Make a motion, we approve the issuance of a proclamation for, you want to take both of them, or separately?
Separately.
Okay, for Joseph Sisko then?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Then we have another request, and that first one was from Troop 121. We have Troop 53, who is requesting a proclamation for Eagle Scout Nick Keys, and that Court of Honor will be held, I know, I just saw it, on September 28th.
Make a motion, we approve the proclamation on behalf of Nick Keys.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Are there any member items tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to town manager items.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Good evening, thank you. I just have 4 items under town manager items tonight, and they're all for authorization to apply for and accept grant funds. The first one is to accept grant funds that were received by the town from the Mass Department of Public Health for the SHARPS program in the amount of $500. And again, that goes to the Department of Public Health. You want to take that one? Take them all
Yes,
separate?
sure,
Okay.
sure. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we authorize the grant and acceptance of the funds for the Mass Department of Public Health.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Thank you. The second one is to authorize the town to apply for and accept a small-scale initiative grant through Mass DEP for $1,250 for the purchase of compost bins. I just want to recognize Amy Sullivan, who worked on this and identified the grant funds. Thank you so much, and put the grant together on behalf of the town.
Did you want to be heard, or? Good evening.
Good evening, thank you. We're just going to apply for a grant from the Mass DEP. Based on our population, we are eligible for $1,250, and we have decided this year to use those funds, if we are awarded, to buy some compost bins, and then we'll do some education to get people on board, getting those food scraps out of the trash. So we would have to set up a separate account for that, and we'd sell them for a little bit higher than what we buy them for to maintain that fund, so we can continue to buy the bins in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Holstrom, did you have a
One
question?
Through the chair, what do the compost bins consist of? Are they a small box for individual residences, or are they one we would put at the highway department for everybody to use? How would that work?
These would be for residents. They would be small ones that people would use out in their yard and just keep the food scraps with leaves and different composting materials out in their yard.
Interesting. Again, through the chair, how big a bin are they? I mean, you know, it's great because sometimes we get the winds, the snow, that type of thing. It'll blow them over and move them around. Are they going to be sufficient size that they're not going to move, blow around, and, you know, create a problem?
These are, there are different types you can get. I have one it's a really heavy-duty plastic. It's, I don't know, 2.5 feet high. There's no chance of it blowing over as long as there's material in it. It's
Okay.
heavy enough.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anything else? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to authorize the application and acceptance of a small-scale initiative grant, Mass DEP, for $1,250 for compost bins.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Thank you. The third one is requesting your authorization to apply for and accept EMPG grant, which is an Emergency Management Performance Grant. It comes from MEMA, from the state, and it's for FY12. And just a little background on this one, we've received one for FY09, FY10, and FY11, all of them in the last 2 years. 2 of them we used to fund years 1 and year 2 of Code Red, so we would be applying for this one to authorize, to fund year 3 of Code Red. Now, this is the amount that's given to us by formula this year is $4,030, and the local cable committee is committing to the match to allow us to pay for the remainder of the Code Red. The Code Red contract every year is $8,600. So this will be the 3rd year in a row that we've been able to pay for it without any use of taxpayer funding. So this grant would be, we would be applying for $4,030 per the formula that MEMA gave us.
Are there any questions or comments?
Make a motion, we authorize the grant and acceptance of the funds for the EMPG, the Emergency Management Performance Grants, for fiscal year 12.
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And
Thank you.
the last grant.
Lastly, there is another grant through MEMA, another emergency management type grant, and this is an FY, federal fiscal year 2012 Citizen Corp Program grant. They've actually changed the name of they are in the process of changing the name of the program, but for now it's the Citizen Corp Program grant. And this provides funds to the town to support CERT teams. We received this grant last year, the FY10/11, and we used it to purchase trailer supplies, and the prior year we used it to actually purchase radios for them. This year, the grant is due Friday, and the local emergency management planning committee is working on a proposal that they can give to me that we can put together over the next couple of days and submit it. But the gist of this proposal is that we're going to be looking for training funds for CERT, and they may need some additional equipment. So they were going to prioritize what they needed. This is, again, this is a competitive grant. You can apply for up to $7,000, and there's no match required.
Are there any comments or questions on this one?
Make a motion, we authorize the grant and acceptance of the funds for the federal fiscal year 2012 Citizen Corps Program grant.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Did you have anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. We have no tabled items. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. No. Minutes.
Oh, not yet?
We have the minutes of October 9th,
Oh, that's right.
2012. Are there any,
Public comment.
I said public, I just said, asked if the,
Responded to adjourn, and I didn't get a chance to say something.
oh, did you have something for public
Yeah,
comment?
I just would like to say, on the 24th, we're scheduling interviews for the Finance Committee and Zoning Board of Appeals, and anyone that might be interested or is an alternate on the board should turn in their applications by the prior Wednesday of the meeting, so that we will have all the information for interviews on the 24th.
Anything else? Now we have the minutes of the October 9th, 2012 meeting. Are there any corrections or omissions? Seeing none, the chair will accept them as written. Mr. Simonian, do you have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are
Thank you. Good
adjourned.
night.